Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today I decided to switch the tables and I decided to interview myself. This is being a 50th episode. I thought it was a great occasion for that. So my name is Irina Shehovsov. I'm a single mom of 2 kids, ages 12 and 7. I'm a certified NLP trainer, timeline therapy master coach, and certified wellness coach. I help women reclaim their life by addressing 4 states of being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. When we address those 4 states of being, can we truly embrace happiness from within? And this is my story. Never in a million years have I imagined being a single parent. Yet, this is who I am now. I became a single parent when my son was born and my daughter was 5 years old. It was a tough time for me physically and emotionally, as I was healing from being cut open, and emotionally having my soul sucked out from under me. I was going through motions of fulfilling my daily obligations, of what was expected of me, but that not actually being present to things. I would drop one kid off at school and another at daycare and would rush to catch the train to work, bawling my eyes out on the way there and asking myself, is that what life is all about? Am I here to just suffer through my day? See, I didn't want to wake up the next morning to relive the same reality all over again. I was waiting for some external miracle to occur to come and save me. Everywhere I looked, I saw complete families with mom, dad, and kids. And on the outside, everything looked normal, like it was supposed to. And then I looked at myself. Was I good enough? Was I normal enough? Why couldn't I keep it all together? I would plaster on a smile and go through my day like another mask. Because I thought, who cares about my problems? Everyone got their own. I felt like I brought my best to work and my kids would get the leftovers. And so after living in that miserable state of being for about a year, I realized that no Prince Charming is coming to rescue me. And I needed to rescue myself. And the questions I was asking myself back then were, who am I? Am I someone's mom or used to be wife? But who am I as a person by myself? And I embarked on a journey of personal development and growth. I started reading books, attended seminars and live events. And through the journey, my journey back to me, I navigated all of the states of being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Not in that order specifically, but it touched on all of those parts. And my recovery consisted of rediscovering who I was. And it started with me simply crossing over the threshold of my home and taking my first walk. You see, I always wanted to walk, but never took that leap. And once I did, there was no turning back. Every morning, I would wake up and suck in all the goodness of the morning sunrise, the beautiful clouds, the trees, the air that I breathe. And occasional mornings, I used to go to the beach and suck in that beautiful ocean and the sand between my toes. And as the sun would rise, I felt like I was right there, being present to the day being born, and I didn't miss anything. See, the simple act of walking allowed me to exercise my body and clear my mind. And next step was nutrition. It wasn't planned or anything. I just stumbled upon a PhD professor's lecture on chemical process of digestion, where she explained it in very simple terms. And key takeaway for me was what happens when you leave a piece of meat on the counter for 3 days and then check on it. You'd find discoloration, foul smell, and other unpleasantries. The visualization of that picture so vividly got stuck in my psyche that I became vegetarian in November 2015. What immediately followed that I lost 10 pounds in the first months of my conversion, although losing weight was never my intent, just an added side effect, a blessing in disguise. All I wanted was to take better care of my body, and I got all that and more. I gained more energy. I felt less sluggish after lunch, more on point. I just felt so much better. And little by little, what followed then was opening of my voice, where I decided to learn how to sing. I got myself a voice coach and also enrolled into a music school. So I had 3 hours a week where I went and sang. This allowed me to sing what I couldn't speak. It was a beautiful thing to be able to use the other side of my mind. My job was very analytical and was so desperately missing creative side of things. Here I was finally able to do it. Another great thing I did was joining Toastmasters, and I recommend it to all of you if you are not doing it already. It's an exceptional skill to have and incredible learning to deliver a message, a story, lead a training where all amazing opportunities for you to get to know other parts of you, because there are so many parts of us that we don't even get to discover if we just doing the monotony of things day in and day out. So there was another exploratory path that I took. It was an exciting time. I ended up actually winning second place at an area competition for a humorous speech. And I didn't join to go and compete. This was actually an unexpected story that happened and unraveled. But nevertheless, I got to create something that I didn't think was possible, but there it was. Another thing I did is I returned to Tanga dancing and painting. I think the notion of hobbies is underestimated so much. Lots of times we think hobbies are just for kids, yet we are all little kids on the inside, and it's important practicing and doing what sets your soul on fire. A joy-adding activity every day, just like one brushes teeth to maintain a great oral hygiene. A hobby is that element that if one wants to maintain a sustainable degree of happiness and joy, then hobby is a must component of everyday living. And so I encourage you listeners to go out and spend 10 minutes every day to do something that brings you joy, whether it's baking or singing or taking yourself out on a walk or rediscovering that forgotten thing you always wanted to do but never did. Explore that and see what happens. I was stating to all areas of my life and my recovery journey. There was a growth summit in Phoenix, Arizona in September 2019, and it was my first live event. There were many speakers there at the time, but one particular one I remember the most, as he inspired me to help women who felt stuck after breakup. He mentioned that there is not enough hope in the world today, and you should help someone who is a step behind you. Well, that was when I decided to help those women who I used to be 5 years prior coming to the summit. I wanted to help that person who I was, that miserable person who went through daily monotonous living, feeling miserable, feeling depressed, suicidal, and not wanting to continue. I want to help that person to go after their dreams, because life is too short to go on living unhappy. And that person that inspired me was Ivan Carmichael, who is a YouTuber from Canada. And so In January 2020 was when Reclaim Your Life was born. It all started with me creating Happiness Academy online course, a 12-week program to become happy again by addressing 4 states of being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And then in March of 2020, this podcast was born, purely starting on inspiration. As I wish there was a resource like that when I started my single parent journey, but there was no such thing. And so I created it. And I had enough people believing in my idea, who wanted to be interviewed, who came on and shared their stories. And I had an incredible array of people that I met through this podcast. And I'm grateful for all of them coming on and sharing their stories, inspiring others, showing that anything is possible. So later that year in 2020, after starting the podcast, what happened next is I completed NLP and timeline therapy studies, starting with practitioner, master, and also trainer level. So now I'm able to train others in this awesome form of therapy. And in fact, that's what's going to happen this year. If you're curious to train in NLP and timeline therapy, if you're curious to learn more, please do reach out, because there will be trainings that I'll be running this year. First one is going to be in May at NLP practitioner level. So that was my story. Another question I usually ask my guests, but since I am my guest today, if I could go back in time, would I do anything differently? I'd say no. I am grateful for the journey I've been on, and though sometimes misunderstood, I would not change anything. I like sometimes what happens in life. I recently learned this about a Satori and a Kensho moment. A Satori is a positive moment of growth, and Kensho is a negative moment. And negative, we think of it at the time, but if we zoom out and look at our life and examine it, everything that happens can be viewed as a lesson. So that Kensho moment was my breakup moment that allowed me to rediscover who I was, who that person was, and discover other parts of my identity that I didn't know I had. See, I used to be an introvert, and through the process of this, I discovered that I can be an extrovert. Actually, we can be anything we want to be as soon as we allow ourselves, to remove ourselves from the equation. So I wouldn't change anything or do anything differently. What kind of advice I can give to present single parents who are overwhelmed and struggling? I'd say believe in yourself. Nobody walked in your shoes, so they don't know how you feel. Accept advice of people who you aspire to be like, people who see the best in you, who see your potential. Another advice I want to give is to practice radical forgiveness and self-love. And I want to mention about forgiveness. Forgiving does not let the other person off the hook. All you're doing really is you're forgiving yourself, because who are you hurting by holding on that grudge? You're only hurting yourself. You're only making it difficult for yourself, because every day, imagine you're waking up and carrying that difficult, that heavy load on yourself every single day by suffering. And so forgiving is first and foremost is for you. Forgiving yourself, who you used to be in the situation that happened, forgiving the other person, forgiving this whole situation, because we always operate to the best of our ability with the resources we have available at the time. And another thing is we cannot go back and change the past. So no matter how many times you mull over about what has happened, about who did what and how you reacted and what you said, nothing you can do now can change your past unless you have a time machine, of course. So let me know if you do. But you can change your future by being present in the now, by forgiving who you used to be, forgiving yourself, and stepping into the present moment. Forgiving yourself does not let the other person off the hook. You just accept yourself for who you are, for where you've been, and allows you to move forward. Another component I want to mention is practicing self-love. And self-love is not selfish, it is actually your duty and your responsibility as you show up as a better version of a mom or of a colleague, a sister, a daughter, a human to others when you fill your cup first before you can share with others. We cannot, and where I was growing up, once you have kids, you have to forget about yourself. But I think it's nothing further from the truth. Because what kind of person will you be showing up as if you're all broken up, if you're all depressed and feeling not good enough, you're feeling like a martyr? For what greater purpose? So I invite you to practice self-love, whether it is taking 5 minutes and having a cup of tea, or taking yourself out for a walk. That's how I practice my self-love. In the morning, I would wake up before my kids are up and I would go for a walk. I would exercise. Exercise is not difficult. It's actually taking care of your body, allows you to have better longevity, allows you to have better mindset. And that's how I practice self-love. So I invite you to do the same. Whatever it is that allows you to come to your center, allows you to feel good inside, go and do that for yourself and don't feel guilty about taking the time that is necessary for you to be alive, for you to bring that passion, compassion, and this person, the better version of you. Because if you are tired, if you underslept, if you are stressed, what kind of person do your kids see? Who do they see? Who does your parents see? Who does your people who you interact with, who do they see? Do they see this nervous wreck? So take that time for yourself and do what makes you feel alive. And don't feel guilty about that. So that's how I'd like to, that's my advice. If you like to get in touch with me, you can email me irina@irinashehovsov.com. If you want to up-level your life, improve your overall well-being, you can schedule your discovery session. And I'm going to leave a link below in the show comments. You can do that. Remember, if you find this show valuable, remember to share with a friend, to help this podcast to be the messenger of hope and inspire others out there, other single parents who may be struggling, who are just embarking on that journey. This show is for them to realize that anything is possible. Remember that you are limitless. Thank you so much for listening, subscribing, downloading this episode, and leaving us a review. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have an amazing day and week.